It's time for Grizz Beat, a full-court press of highlights, insights, and debate around the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Tune in each week on the latest conversations with regional and national insiders locked in on the Grizzlies. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jason Smith.
Welcome to Grizz Beat. I am your host, Jason Smith of 92.9 FM ESPN. We've got another game day edition of the show with the Memphis Grizzlies safely back from Europe and set to face the Atlanta Hawks tonight at FedEx Forum. It's the first of 3 straight games at FedEx Forum for the Grizzlies. Grizz, and the Guru might not know this, 4-3 in Wednesday games. Perhaps it'll be a good omen. Ja Morant expected to be back on the floor for a second straight game after missing 6 straight with that calf contusion. Remember, we're starting Grizz Beat at 2 p.m. now the rest of the season. So make sure you've got those notifications set and that you're locked in with us every week for the best intel, exclusive interviews, and opinions you're not going to hear anywhere else. That said, let's introduce our panel for this week. To my left, for the second straight week, is the great DeMichael Cole, the Commercial Appeal's fantastic Grizzlies beat reporter and co-host of the Locked On Grizz podcast. DeMichael, I know this is a very busy time of year for you, roughly just 2 weeks away from the trade deadline. So thank you again for pulling up, brother.
Hey, of course, I'm happy to be here. 2 weeks in a row, man. I like kicking it with you guys.
And
so
y'all know he's like Schefter. He could be pulled away at any time with what's going on, so be prepared for that. No, we got a little taste of that last week. Next to DeMichael and freshly back from Europe is the man we call the Guru. He's senior editor, contributor, analyst, and the hardest working man at Grind City Media, Michael Wallace. Did you bring us back some European souvenirs, sir?
You know what?
Did I catch you?
I'm fresh out. The next trip I got you, though, man.
Wonderful job.
Michael. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun there. The jet lag, I might not know what I'm saying. It might not be coherent. I'm still, working with the end of this jet lag. But shout out to DeMichael, man. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
And this brother got his laptop and his phone right there. So he ready. He ready to break some action, break some news. Man.
Might have about 5 or 6 phones below the table there. And via Zoom, Stephanie, I was born ready, joins us as our national NBA contributor, having covered the NBA for more than 2 decades. She brings the veteran national perspective that's much needed around here. Stephanie, welcome back.
I'm so glad to be back. And Michael, welcome back from across the pond.
Thank you.
It is good. It's good to have him back. That's our panel for this week's show. We've got the very talented CJ Hurt, as always, behind the glass, keeping us in line and on time, and a hard-working staff behind the scenes that we're super grateful for. Now on to our starting 5. It's where we start every Wednesday. The top 5 storylines surrounding the Memphis Grizzlies, who, as we said, face a suddenly struggling Hawks squad tonight that's lost 4 straight to drop to 10th in the East. More on them later. Michael's got the latest for us from the Grizz, from Shootaround. Michael.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you talk about with the Grizzlies getting back on the court today, they went through a shoot-around this morning. DeMichael was there. I was there. We had a cast of guys there watching this team, and all the regular guys were on the court. Ja Morant was out there and available for tonight's game. One of the quickest updates is that Santi Aldama went in as questionable, and I think now he's been downgraded to doubtful heading into today's game. So, we'll see where Santi is with his situation. He played in both games in Europe, dealing with a little bit of soreness coming back from that. They don't want to rush him with 4 games in 6 nights. But that's the thing, man. Can they get their bodies right? Can they get their bodies adjusted from the jet lag and everything else to play a truncated schedule the rest of the way? And I talked to the guys after shoot-around about that, asking specifically Cedric Coward and Jaren Jackson Jr. how they prepare to respond to the physical demands of this schedule.
I got no choice, right? I can say that. But at the same time, like, I think I've done as much as I can possibly to just make sure I'm prepared, just for tonight's game and the games going forward. I know we got like a tough schedule upcoming. So it's just making sure you're really locking on your rest, recovery, especially with, the long time difference, trying to get back in the same consistent routine now that we're on Memphis time again. So, but no, I'm feeling good.
Win all of them. Protect home court, build on what we've been building. I don't know. Just focus and lock in per usual, man. Try to get as many wins as possible. I know it's going to be tough just with back-to-backs and no 2 days off until All-Star break, but that's the NBA, man.
Yeah, between tonight and Monday, that's 4 games in 6 nights, right? Including a back-to-back Sunday, Monday, Denver, and then going to Houston from that standpoint. So in the midst of all of this, as you said on your show, the J&J show on 92.9 ESPN, we're 16 days away from NBA February 5th trade deadline too. So in addition to adjusting your bodies, these guys are also having to deal with, playing basketball right now with so many distractions with the trade deadline looming league-wide. So Jaren talked about that as well, trying to play and stay focused with the business of basketball at the other end of this thing as well.
Jaren, you said that, as a second-year or first-year player, you handle those things a little bit differently than you do now. You have a much more mature perspective on the business side of it. Just speak a little bit more to your growth in that area and how important it is to stay kind of level-headed during these times.
Yeah, a second year, I probably didn't know as much, so I had different people give me advice over years of playing, and I've had a lot of different teammates, so I've experienced the other side of a lot of things. So I'm a lot older now. I get it.
You were in a similar situation with Mark and Mike, where it sort of came out in the media, it might happen, it might not happen, and that was sort of the locker room had to deal with that. Is that something you've thought about in the last couple of weeks, that experience?
Yeah, I thought about all of them. I thought about pretty much everybody who's come through here. But it's a part of the game, but they were professionals about it, so it was good.
A veteran presence, one that you can lean on right now in Jaren Jackson Jr. in terms of trying to, again, play through these distractions. Appreciate that. Told you he's the hardest working man at Grind City Media there, Michael Wallace. Stephanie, on to you for question number 2 of the starting 5. Did the NBA Global Games exposure impact the league's perception of Ja positively or negatively?
I think it stayed the same. I think that he definitely did some good things. Obviously, getting back on the court is huge. And then his first half numbers were unbelievable. He had a double-double with 0 turnovers in the first half. And I don't think the league had any doubt about Ja's talent. I think everyone knows he is a superstar in terms of his ability and his skill set. His athleticism is unparalleled. I think the issue that people have with Ja is the off-the-court things. And then I'm going to give you an example of what happened in the global games. In the second quarter, that celly that he did where he pantomimed that he was shooting a bazooka, that's not good. And all I did was trigger memories for people of the reasons why he's been out of the game or at odds with his front office and or coaching staff. So I think it didn't change the perception, but I think it did remind everyone of both the good and the bad parts of Ja Morant. And I think when you saw his celly in the fourth quarter when he did the dancing, that's fun. Celebrate that way, right? Like, bring joy to everyone. Don't make people cringe when you just did something that was really, really good.
And certainly to the good part of Ja in that first half, 20 and 10, the only Grizzly to have done that. That's something that whether it's the league or even the Grizzlies, you want to see consistently and over again, and not just flashes of. And maybe that's why we're at this point that we're at now. DeMichael, you take this next one. Did the performance in Europe boost the brands at all for Tomas Iisalo and Jaren Jackson Jr.?
I'd say not a lot, but it was certainly valuable. This wasn't a trip where I'm looking back on it and saying, man, these two really benefited, greatly from it overall. But at the end of the day, I think the thing is the Ja Morant angle and perspective here was just such a big thing.
Huge.
That everything else kind of was in the shadows, for the most part, including just having this unique opportunity. But with Iisalo, I think it was a good chance for, many more eyes to be on the Grizzlies. Everyone's heard kind of the narrative things about the rotations and things like that.
Yep.
You got a closer look at it. We saw it in the first game. And then in the second game, I remember coming back from that game and people were telling me, like, the rotations look unusual, but you can see how they, in theory, can work when you add a Ja Morant, to the equation. So there was that added, context there when you talk about boosting the brand of Iisalo, because when you think of him around the league, that's kind of what everyone talks about with him, is the rotation thing and whatnot. And then with Jaren Jackson Jr., it was good for him. Jaren has already had a footprint in Europe, but it's mostly during the summer. I know, Mike, you asked him, about, his investment with Nike in the time that he was over there in Europe as well. So, Jaren has been really well over the course of his career with doing a lot of those things. He's very intentional about doing those things. But As far as on the court goes, I mean, I just feel like it was just so many eyes on Ja.
Absolutely.
It's like, it's just what it was. Like, it would have took Jaren to score like 40 or 50 for him to get his true deserved warranted praise over the course of that trip.
Grizzlies could have gone, I mean, theoretically 2-0 on that trip. They had a big lead on Orlando in that first game. Things were working too before they let that one go. So this next question is for the group. How can the Grizzlies fix this blown leads and finishing games issue? I think it was DeMichael that pointed out in his story in the 3 previous games prior to the win on Sunday, they'd blown leads of 21, 16, and 20 points. Stephanie, we'll start with you. How can they fix it?
Well, there's several things they could do. I think 2 things you can look at in the fourth quarter, these 2 stats, rebounding and FTAs. I think that if you would lead in those 2 categories, specifically in the fourth quarter, it means that you have control of the game, right? If you're controlling rebounds, that means you're getting more possessions. If you're getting more free throw attempts, that means you're being aggressive. You're getting more opportunities to score. So those 2 things are very important. But I think in general, micro goals, that's what I call it, are very important when you're a team that's trying to establish who you are and establish your identity and what you will win with. When I was coaching, we used to set little mini goals for each quarter. For example, you don't want to say, hey, we need to score 100 points tonight, but you might say, if we can get 25 points this quarter, we're good, right? Just to pick a random stat. You want to set little micro goals so that they can achieve those and feel a sense of accomplishment and keep striving and working towards setting the bigger goals. And I think something that I like to talk about too is identity stats. It's something that whatever you think your team identity is, you need to focus your stats on that identity. So if you want to be a defensive minded team, you need to keep track of things like deflections, not just rebounds and steals. Little things that players on your roster can try to get, that your bench can celebrate, that you can reward, and then eventually you'll turn into that team that you're trying to get to.
It's in the details, according to Stephanie, and I believe her. DC, how do you fix this issue?
I mean, it's simple to me. You have a point guard on the floor, and in particular, you have Ja Morant available.
12, the closer.
Look, a lot of times we've seen the Grizzlies blow these leads, and even when you go into the opposing locker rooms and you hear the other teams talk about it, it's these teams ramping up the pressure. It's the Grizzlies turning the ball over more late in the game, and it's like, I think of it like almost like, I think it's a python. It's python or anaconda, but the python is the one that kind of like swarms around you for a while and kind of sizes you up before they finally squeeze you and things like that. Like, I remember one of the Spurs games, you could see like they were picking and choosing the moments when they would ramp up the pressure, and then the fourth quarter came, and then it was just full-on blitz, all the way through. So that's when you need Ja. And I remember in that game, if you go to the second game against Orlando, it was early in the fourth quarter. Like, they sent like 2 dudes at Ja half court. He had the ball in his left hand, and he kept this dribble, and then he passed the ball ahead, and it's like, I wonder if there was someone else in that situation, that could have been chaos and things like that. But yeah, it's pretty much that simple to me, just having an organizer, because over the course of a game, the idea of just moving the ball and ball movement and finding good shots that way is ideal. But you get late in the game, not only are they going to be switching more and forcing you to go one-on-one, but the players naturally, I mean, it's just a natural thing. They're going to be more intense because the game's on the line. All the energy that you've reserved, it's time to let it out right now. And that's where it's good to have kind of an organizer who can not only create for himself but create for his teammates.
Well said. 11-11, I believe this team is without Ja Morant. You think about how many of those they would have won if they had had the closer on the floor. Michael, you got fixes for our blown leads issue?
I think specifically as it relates to blown leads and late game situations, you got to shorten the rotation. And damn it, you got to save your challenges for the second half.
Amen.
You got to save your challenges for the second half.
I'm glad you said it.
Because blowing a challenge on a mundane play in the second quarter or the first quarter, and you risk losing it and you don't have it again, that's egregious. And when these games, the Grizzlies are blowing leads, but the games that they're blowing these leads in are coming down to 2 or 3 possessions in the last 2 minutes where you can use a challenge to really, really get your advantage in that situation. So that's number one. That's the second thing. But the main thing is shorten the rotation. Yeah, have that egalitarian system in the first half, have it in the third quarter, but then your guys have already been rested because you had a vast rotation in the first half. These guys got to be able to push through 10-minute quarters at times, because you know what OKC does? I mean, I've been studying this since last year. OKC and a lot of top teams. SGA plays the entire first quarter. He sits the first 6 minutes of the second quarter, finishes the half. Then he plays the entire third quarter, sits the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, and finishes the rest. So guys have to be able to condition themselves in a system, your stars in particular, to finish the final 6 minutes of a quarter.
Yeah,
like
we've
that.
not seen the Grizzlies settle into a routine, rotation-wise.
Right.
Realize there have been guys in and out, but it just seems like you would have settled into something by now. I'm with you completely, and especially on those challenges and not using them too early. Our final question is also for the entire group. The most impressive part of the Europe games. DeMichael, we'll start with you.
I definitely think it was how they responded in that second game. That was definitely the most impressive part to me because I think a lot of people in that second quarter, when you saw the Grizzlies build a 19, 20-point lead, you weren't really phased because you're like, okay, we seen this the last three games too, right? And the team has came back and taken the lead. But in this game, like that third quarter was really pivotal because they went into halftime, and I think Orlando had cut it down to 19, and it stayed at 19 at the end of the third quarter. You could tell that the attention to detail was there, and you just wonder, like, okay, did they find a fix? But they were more, keyed in on we're not going to lose, the lead this time, and that was something that you needed to see because clearly they can build the leads on teams. So if you maintain them, I mean, you probably got a couple more wins.
Michael, you were there. You saw it firsthand. Thing you were most impressed by in the Europe games?
Just seeing NBA-ready arenas across the globe. Like, the Uber Arena in Berlin was fantastic. It's like only 14,500, so it's a real intimate arena. And they oversold that. Then they had the Uber Music Hall, because it's obviously all sponsored by Uber, right? And the Uber Music Hall is connected to the arena complex. 5,000 more people were there as an overflow.
Wow.
And so that is the intimacy and the beauty of that arena. It's newer. I walked into that complex, and I wish I would have shown the B-roll from that, but I walked into the complex, and it felt like you were walking into LA Live in LA or Dallas, where everything is around that Dallas arena, or Milwaukee, or some of the NBA. Chase Center was what it really reminded me of. So that's that. And then O2. O2 is a couple decades old now, but it was the standard bearer of the new construction arenas when it opened in 2008. And I was there that first year it opened too for an NBA Global game at that time, and it's just held up well. It's a super mall with an arena inside of it. So it's like an outlet factory mall with an arena inside of it. Full restaurants, everything is in there, man. It's a beautiful spot.
How about you, Stephanie? What impressed you most about the Europe games?
Well, I'm just going to piggyback on what Michael was just talking about, the global growth of the NBA game. I mean, I remember a couple of decades ago, and the NBA had a few offices, scattered across the globe, but nobody really knew they existed, right? Well, now they have 17 different markets outside of the United States where they have an NBA office. They have over 75% of their social media followers are outside of the United States, international followers. The game has grown so much, and we've seen the international players influx into the NBA rosters. Well, this year they set another record for international players. It's about 30% of the league now is international players. That is a huge chunk, and it is a tribute to what the NBA planted these seeds back in the 70s on what they wanted to do. They saw an opening. They wanted to grow the game, and they knew that that would help their future, right? Because if you have all of these young fans all across the world watching NBA games, becoming fans of their players, and as we saw when you guys were over there, they're fans of these players. And Ja Morant talked about that too, how he felt that love. I think it's a huge testament to what David Stern started when he was the commissioner of the NBA, and it's just amazing to see it all evolve.
And Stephanie, just to piggyback up what you said, for me, I loved Amazon Prime's use of Dirk and Steve Nash to further illustrate the growth, right? Their stories coming from where they did. Obviously, Nash's parents coming, I believe his father's from London. So I love the way that was incorporated in terms of illustrating that growth around the world. So great stuff there in our starting five. And now to the highlights. Our best dunk, dime, and defensive play, where each week our panel votes on the best assembled highlights. This week, it's the best from the entire NBA over the past week. We'll see if we have any Grizzlies make it. Let's start with best dunk.
Turnover.
You already know that was going to be in there. I mean, we got to face the music.
It's over.
Hold up.
Okay.
Hold up now.
Edgecombe. It feels like it's dunking on everybody in the league. We know the Anthony Black dunk well. 4 Grizzlies there in that frame. DeMichael, which one's better?
Oh, man. Shout out VJ Edgecombe. He got up right there. And that's against a big boy. That's against Tony Bradley.
Sure.
But, man, look. 1, 2, 3, 4. That don't happen a lot. And, look, the most impressive part about the Anthony Black dunk to me is the fact that, 1, he didn't even see them all. But,
He didn't.
but 2, none of them really got close to blocking the shot. Like, if you really look at it, nobody was right there. Jaren was the kind of the closest, and he was delayed. But none of them even were close to blocking the shot. That's impressive. 4 dudes not even getting close to blocking it, but being in the picture. Man.
Stephanie, I think DeMichael's right, is he?
Yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, I think this is a no-brainer. This may be the dunk of the season. 4 defenders all going for it, and then he lands like nothing happened, right? Like normally when you see that many bodies in the air at the same time, somebody's going to hit the deck. He just comes down on 2 feet, gives him a nice stare down, and trots back. It was very impressive.
Really is. I hate to give it to Anthony Black since it happened against the Grizzlies, but I feel like I have to. Michael, are you?
It's a clean sweep, man. It was over before it started, and mainly because of when it happened in the game. It was a tie game. That was the go-ahead dunk right there. It was nip and tuck coming down the last 3 minutes right there.
It was.
And, Jaren got fouled. A foul should have been called on the other end when he got his arm ripped. That led to the transition
That led to that
right
one.
there.
Got you.
But I was in a suite full of executives and full of sponsors and people in the suite. All pro Grizzlies. Mark Gasol was up there too. And when that dunk went in, we all was like, oh.
Yeah. Everybody came out of the seat.
Hold up. We're here with the Grizzlies. We gotta remember that. So absolutely a sweep right there.
No, I remember Candace Parker literally came out of her seat on that dunk while calling it. So as impressive as it gets. We'll move on now to best dime.
And handling the basketball is Marcus. Lakers can tie or take the lead.
That's smart. That was smart.
Okay. Booker over the shoulder.
All right, so we know the first one. Well, former Grizzly Marcus Smart, and then you got Devin Booker in the second one. DeMichael, which one's better?
Man, it's just something about seeing Marcus Smart. We didn't get to see that a lot in Memphis, play out of the post like that. Like he did it a little bit, but I mean he wasn't here long. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Marcus Smart one. It was kind of no look too, like adding a little flair to it. It's like all he needed to do was see DeAndre Ayton cut, and he just threw it, in the area. So I'm gonna go with that one. I think D Book did a nice job of creating. But you just don't see point guards playing out of the post like that, guards period, and then throwing that lob. I'm going with Marcus.
He really did set it up there nice for him. All right, Marcus Smart or Devin Booker, Stephanie?
I'm going with Marcus Smart. I agree with everything you said. I did like that Booker drew the defender to him to create the lane, but I mean, Marcus Smart has his back to the basket. He shouldn't even be down that low on the block to to begin with on the offense. And then he puts a perfectly placed alley-oop, no look, over his defender. I mean, it was perfect. So I think definitely Marcus Smart.
I'm going to go the other way, right? I think Marcus Smart had the better pass. Obviously, I think the Phoenix Suns had the better finish right there because of the dunk. If you're going to throw a lob, you want your big man to go up there, catch it, and stuff it in.
That's fair.
But having said that, man, I'm going to give D-Book because he's having an underrated, absolutely fantastic season. So more sentimental reasons, I'm going to go there. The winner is what you guys voted for.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and throw my vote in there knowing that I got to represent my guy.
We know Michael's going to get them personal ties in at any time he can. Last one, best defensive play.
5 of 5.
Jitty?
Conchar block. Jared Allen. All right. So we got Jitty up against a big and Jared Allen here. Which one is better, DeMichael?
I like the play from Jitty because of what it gave me the AD block flashbacks from the playoff series against the Lakers, but the aggressiveness from Jared Allen on the Jalen Williams block, I gotta go with that, man. I mean, that's one of those plays. Either you getting dunked on or you doing the blocking. Like it's a highlight regardless, and he made the highlight.
I'll tell you what, I'm used to seeing Jared Allen getting dunked on lately. He went on and turned that one away.
He got tired of it.
Stephanie, is it Jared or is it Jitty?
It's Jared. I mean, the first one was really good too. Because I like when you're coming from behind as a defender and make a defensive play in that block. But that at the rim, that stance that Jared Allen did, I mean, it is mano a mano. It is bravery, right, to go up for that block that close to the rim. And especially because he was from a standstill, right? So you're talking about athleticism coming at you and you're coming from a standstill vert jump. So it was impressive.
Speed at it, Michael, are they right?
They are absolutely right.
Okay.
And I'm going to break this down as we continue to see it right in slow motion. What's beautiful about the Jared Allen block is that it looked like his arm extended like Go-Go Gadget. Like, watch his arm just keep extending.
It does.
And then he almost gave Jay Williams a concussion after he fell.
Man, with
like
the
the
force,
fall
yeah.
made it look even worse. Because he straight busted him on his ass right there, man. So, hey, look, that one right there is fantastic.
Shout out to Jared Allen. Couldn't get a Grizzly on there this week, but I think Jared Allen deservedly. So when we come back, we'll put the confidence meter on our panelists. What's its confidence level that Ja Morant will be with the Grizzlies past the February 5th trade deadline? It's the question everybody's asking. And later, we'll take a look at Michael's top 10 midseason MVP candidates. Keep it locked. This is Grizz Beat on Grind City Media.
The world needs B2K.
B2K's breakup was a huge shock to their fans.
Boys for Life Tour.
Watching the Grizzlies is easy with FanDuel Sports Network. If you have cable or satellite, you're all set. Find us on your channel lineup. You can also use your TV provider login to watch games on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable or satellite? Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network online. You can also watch on Prime Video by adding a FanDuel Sports Network subscription. Not sure where to start? Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com to learn more.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans. Want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
How are you able to release and have an instrumental song become a huge deal?
And I forget who the disc jockey was, but he put the wrong side on. He put the Green Onions by mistake and played the B side instead of the A side.
No!
And that's when the change happened. These people started to call the station and say, play that song again.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We got a special deal for all the fans of this show. We have a special discount code for up to 30% off select Grizzlies tickets just by using the promo code GCMFan. That's Grind City Media Fan, GCMFan. Head over to grizzgroups.com/GCM and lock in your discounted seats. Again, that's GCMFan at grizzgroups.com/GCM. Do not miss out on this exclusive offer. Welcome back to Grizz Beat. It's now confidence meter time. Time to measure our panel's belief level in 3 key topics. Let's start with the topic everyone is talking about. Michael, what is your confidence level that Ja Morant will be with the Grizzlies past the trade deadline?
All right, trade deadline is February 5th, 16 days away, right? From that standpoint, 2.5 weeks. My confidence level is not confident. I've been around this league for a long time, and usually when there's this much smoke around trades, especially those involving marquee top-tier players, it's more fire. You know, there's fire to go with that smoke. Usually this ends in a trade, and because it started a week or two ago, you had almost a whole month of a run-up to try to get something done. You know, usually if you got to keep a guy, the leak comes out maybe a couple days before the trade deadline, and then you just say, I ran out of time, I couldn't find the right deal. But there's time to get this done. So I'm not confident, especially with it coming publicly out the way it has, and we'll see where it goes from there. DeMichael,
your confidence level that Ja will be with the team past the trade deadline?
Yeah, well, Mike, I'm not confident either. And here's the thing for me. You know, I would say that I'm confident based off of the fact that, you know, there's not been like, you know, a wholesale of interest so far. It's not like a bunch of teams have been lining up, you know, really going after Ja at this point. But He's still playing. And it's not just the fact that he's playing right now. It's the fact that I just get the feeling you got a motivated Ja Morant. Like, think about what we've known about Ja up to this point of his career and how he's carried this chip on his shoulder. And even after reaching the heights that he's reached to this point, now all you're hearing is, oh, he's not worth this. And it's, in a way, it's almost like you're not wanted where you are and you're not wanted around the league. Like, how would you not be motivated by that? How do you not want to go? So the fact that he's playing, boom, we just saw 24 points, 13 assists. You know, I feel like he's going to continue a high level of play, and then they'll start calling a little more. They'll start calling a little more before February 5th.
Okay, Stephanie, ready? We've got two gentlemen here that are not confident Ja is going to be on the team past the trade deadline. What is your confidence level?
I am confident. I think that they both have very good points, but I think sometimes the market dictates the value. And I think no matter what the team wants to do, right, if they've come out and said, yes, we want to trade him, yes, we're looking to trade him, whatever the case is, their intentions may be there, but you need a suitor. You need someone who wants to take on Ja Morant on their roster. And I think this goes back to the points I was making at the top of the show about the global games and what it did to fans and to executives, right? It triggered memories. Yes, he is great. He's an excellent athlete. He is a very skilled basketball player. But then, oh yeah, there's all these other things. And you might be right, DeMichael, he might be extra motivated, but at what cost and for how long, right? Motivated to play well now to prove that he's worthy of a trade or worthy to stay, whichever way you want to look at that coin, whichever side. But then how long is he motivated? And then what will we anticipate he will be like in the locker room? Will there be off the court antics? And am I a team that can withstand that? Is my culture strong enough and is my locker room strong enough that I can help him and guide him and not worry about him negatively impacting or influencing my current roster? Is he the final piece of the puzzle that's going to help us contend for a championship and it's worth it? There's too many variables. Obviously, I wouldn't be shocked if the trade happened because it is very much documented and talked about. I'm just not very confident that they're going to be able to get it done.
Good. So we've got both sides there. I'll tell you what, I think last week I thought there's no way you bring Ja Morant back after the trade deadline with how things had gone. I just wonder now with what we saw on Sunday, that team welcomed him back. If there's a way where you table this till the offseason, we shall see. DeMichael, how confident are you that the Grizzlies will finish top 10 in the West, currently in 11th, just behind the Clippers?
Not confident, and I think this is probably the first week that I've been not confident that that would happen since they had that losing streak earlier in the season when they were about 4-14 or something like that. But yeah, not confident because, you know, I just look at it from the perspective, it kind of ties into what we just said. If you trade Ja Morant, you know, in theory there, if the trade is done, I think the sense of direction after that will be very clear, and we'll be talking about, you know, Darren Peterson and A.J. DeBonsa and Cam Boozer and Kinston Flemings and those type of dudes. So I just think, you know, that's a big part of it. The injuries, of course, you know, Zach Edey, you know, there's no guarantees right now that he'll play another game this season. All that being factored in, you know, I'm just not confident that this team will have enough to make that push.
All right, Stephanie, we've heard from DeMichael. How confident are you the Grizzlies will finish top 10?
I am not confident at all. You look at who finished 10th last year in the East and the West, and they had 39 wins. And for the Grizzlies to get to 39 wins, they'd have to go 21-20 for the remainder of their games, and that's above 500. They are struggling to even get to 500. I do not feel confident that they are going to make it to the 10th place, especially in the Western Conference.
Oh, I'll throw in Jimmy Butler hurt for Golden State. Maybe they could drop. Michael, are you any different than these two?
You know, and I look at that when I formulated my answer. I thought, how far will Golden State drop? Now, this is certainly an opportunity, you know, for Golden State and Kuminga to make things up. And he can step into that role.
Absolutely.
And they can still tread water and still finish top 10. The Clippers passed them, right? The Clippers are already ahead. Now. And there's not going to be too much further the Grizzlies can fall. I don't think they can. You know, Dallas is sort of right there. But other than that, man, I'm not confident. And I should have led with that. But I'm not confident just because I've seen enough games with Ja and Jaren on the floor, and they still couldn't lead this team to any consistency. It just hasn't worked out. And now you add the injuries in there, and now you add the truncated schedule coming down the stretch. and then you add all the road games that are coming up.
Yeah.
So hey, not confident, but there could be light at the end of this tunnel, man. Depending on how the season shapes up in that regard.
Just to your point, I mean, Ja is not an automatic fix. Grizzlies 7-12 this year with Ja Morant in the lineup.
Right.
That's with Ja in there, and so. Obviously there's going to be a lot to be determined there. Finally, Stephanie, you've got the last one. You start us off. How confident are you that the opposition tonight, the Atlanta Hawks, the Grizzlies' opponent, will continue to be a better team without Trae Young?
I'm not confident at all. I think when you see a team lose an impact player, a star, sometimes you do see them do well right after because everyone's excited to prove themselves. They have a new role. They're getting more minutes, whatever the case is. They want to prove a point that we can still be good and still win games without X, right? Whoever that person may have been. But I think in this instance, we have seen now them fall back to the mean. They won their first 2 games and then they lost 4 in a row. I think they're not going to be a better team without Trae Young. I think a lot of people talked about his style of play and how maybe he could make his teammates better. But the reality is that's a lot of stats to replace with him being gone. And I just don't see it happening.
All right, Stephanie, not confident. Michael, where are you at?
I'm confident, and Stephanie's right on a lot of those fronts, but I do think this team has a lot of talent. They have a lot of length. They have a lot of interchangeable guys.
Flexibility, too.
Flexibility. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is playing like one of the most improved players in the NBA. But they also have, Zachary Richichet, their number 1 overall pick, sideline, right? He's out for another, week or so. They've never been able to get Kristaps Porzingis right. He's still out. If those guys can come back in a week or so, and then on the other side of the All-Star break, they can make a run. They were already better without Trae record-wise before Trae was traded. Then they hit a little bit of a slide, but they are a tough team that just hasn't been able to figure it all out yet.
Well, that I know has a centerpiece that it now feels like it can trust in Jalen Johnson, who's basically averaging a triple-double this year. DeMichael, they're going to be a better team without Trae?
I think so. I'll go with confident on this one. And I've always looked at Trae Young as like a floor raiser. Like he really carried that Atlanta team, for a lot of years with his play. But you get the sense now, and I've talked about this a little bit, like with the small point guard conundrum in the NBA that a lot of teams are starting to really experience as the league is starting to get bigger with, the 6'5", 6'6" point guards switching everything and playing, that style of brand of basketball. But if you look at that Hawks lineup, like across the board of what it can be when you have Nickeil out there, Dyson Daniels, Richichet, all 3 of those guys are plus defenders. Jalen Johnson is, a uber talented offensive player. Yeah. He's probably the weakest defender of that group, but he's had his moments. Like he's a big time athlete. Like he can, if he locks in. I think the one weakness right now when you look at them and you talk to people in Atlanta, they'll talk about the rim protection, and that was supposed to be the thing that Porzingis was supposed to fix. But that's why you hear them kind of lurking in the weeds with some of these players who could potentially be available as rim protectors. Like a Use Misa, so to speak. Like I could see them making that type of move to kind of shore up that part of it, because on the perimeter with Nickeil, Richichet when he gets healthy, Dyson Daniels, I mean they could stack up with the best of them. So I think they'll be a better team at the end of the day.
I'm with you guys. I think whether it's now or a little bit later, and I don't know, we didn't have specifically this season. Atlanta Hawks going to be better without Trae Young. I've said it for a long time. Now let's run some pick and roll, where our panelists will pick one of 2 options and explain why they're going to roll with it. Absolutely love this week's question. Better Music City. Memphis or Atlanta? I'll start us off. This one's easy, and I'd be a traitor if I said Atlanta. It's Memphis. In the words of DJ from Hustle and Flow, it's Memphis, man. Come on. We're the home of the blues, birthplace of rock and roll. I could go down the list. We're talking Elvis. We're talking Isaac Hayes and Stax Records, Sun Studio. Take it to my era. The rap, 8 Ball, MJG, Player Fly. DeMichael knows a little something about that. 3-6 Bobby. Then you bring it to the new era with Glorilla and Moneybagg Yo and Yo Gotti. And it's Memphis.
Don't forget my nephew now.
They biased,
Key Glock. Hey, we'll put him on.
These dudes biased.
Because he opens our show. Key Glock should be in the mentions as well. And so it's easily Memphis on this one. Stephanie, you're next up. You thinking Atlanta?
It's interesting because when you look at Atlanta historically, the music has definitely been there, especially the type of music that I like to listen to. You go back to Jagged Edge, Outkast, all coming out of Atlanta. Go back even further, Gladys Knight, Ray Charles. Atlanta has been known to have a very strong impact on the music industry. Jermaine Dupri, right, for being an excellent producer. But I'm still going with Memphis because Memphis has live music. When you go to Memphis, it doesn't matter what style you prefer. It could be R&B, country, blues, whatever you want. You can walk down the streets of Memphis and you will find it at a restaurant, a bar. Somebody is playing live music, and I mean like actual musicians with real instruments, not a DJ. And I personally have always been a sucker for live music. So Memphis wins that every day of the week for me.
See, and this is why we love bringing Stephanie on.
Man.
There's a very informed outsider right there in terms of a non-Memphian
on that too,
who's very informed, clearly,
set it up
with
perfectly.
the right pick. We know where DeMichael's from, so I don't
even look. Stephanie just laid it out for you right there. I just, I gotta go with Memphis, and they're gonna say, oh, it's because he's from Memphis and all that. Actually, my favorite rapper growing up was T.I. Like, when you talk about, the music contributions and who I listen to a lot of Atlanta folks, growing up. But at the same time, just like what Memphis has done from, a hip hop standpoint since the mid 90s and the cultural imprint that they put, and you can say the same for Atlanta. But to me, it's when you get into the blues, it's when you get into, like you said, the birthplace of rock and roll. Like Memphis just has so many depths of music going back years and years and years to the 60s. And I think just with that, whatever way you want to go, there's legends in the Memphis music game. And right now, Memphis is still thriving.
Memphis music is the heartbeat, Michael Wallace. You care to dispute that?
You know what? I don't even have enough energy to make this fight right now, but I'm going to go Atlanta. I'm going to go Atlanta, and it's out of respect for everything that you guys said. But I will say this, man.
Yeah.
Memphis can claim the blues, but that blues was in the Delta, right? If we're going to claim regions, that's a little bit different. That stretches, right? You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go like this. This is the thing that tips it over to me. Both places, tremendous music history.
Yep.
Man, I'm young Isaac Hayes. Like, that's my guy, right? So I'm with him all the way. What Stax did in the 60s and the 70s speaks for itself.
Yes, sir.
But I tell you what, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, you can't tell me that wasn't L.A. Reid and Babyface. Like, they wrote 250,000 hits for everybody emanating out of Atlanta, right? Outkast, arguably the greatest hip-hop group of all time. T.I. came out of there. Jermaine Dupri and what they did with So Def. That changed hip-hop in the South. Like, that put the South on the map from a hip-hop standpoint. So, I don't think we would get to Memphis hip-hop scene without Atlanta coming first and setting the tone. And you mentioned Glorilla, Memphis, right? Where's she living at?
All of them live in Atlanta now, man. That's all of them.
So they make their way.
We didn't ask where you'd rather live, Michael.
It's all good. I'm just saying, hey, this was a great question.
Come on
now.
I was across the pond, and these guys came up with this one this week. So shout out to Jay Smooth and Darnell Brady on that one. That's a good one.
Well, you're across pond, and as a result, the Grizzlies being across pond, we didn't get our usual MLK celebration. Now, we knew that when the NBA and the Grizzlies elected to make that trip over to Europe, but the Grizzlies were working to honor Martin Luther King. And a special treat here. I want to take a look at a special MLK weekend celebration community service video that we've got on tap. Take a look.
A night of bringing Dr. King's legacy to life through artistic expression.
All kinds of arts have power, right?
These people were 18, 19, 20.
One of the ways was we had a panel, which was an amazing panel with young people.
I hope to become a lawyer one day.
I think I want to go into journalism.
And then we had Stax Music Academy here who did 2 amazing numbers. We also have young people back here designing shoes, Nike's Air Force Ones.
My shoe design is based on the African American flag, so I put like the stars at the top to represent the black stars, and then I use green, red, and black because those are the colors that are on the African American flag. It is very important to me to be involved in something like this because I believe a lot in educating the youth. I think it's like a really big point. And so to have them here today, and also like I'm the youth speaking to the youth about the youth being like better and like advocating for themselves, it's like having like an early start on the things that I know that I would like to do later on in my life.
I chose orange, black, and yellow for the empowerment of Dr. King. Orange is like a fiery passion. We also have black, we also have yellow. Those colors kind of really spoke to me. To me, he wants everybody to be equal. That's what I think to me. He wants, no matter what color you are, no matter what race, no matter where you come from, occupation, no matter where you come from, stand together, be proud together.
We really want to be providing our youth, especially young artists, opportunities to get their work out there and to hear about Dr. King's legacy.
For me, it's personal. It makes me feel amazing to be a part of something like this because I know that I eat from a table that I didn't set. There was great sacrifices during the civil rights movement, but there was also grave sacrifice as well. And so I'm just grateful that we had people that had that kind of courage to be able to do that. But more importantly, I feel like that I should be a keeper of the dream and try to keep a lot of those dreams alive.
An ambassador, first off, Elliot Perry is
EP,
for
man.
our city, obviously, and for this franchise. Love those MLK themed shoes and ideas from the kids. And there was a story this week, obviously. Nike released a LeBron MLK themed shoe and faced a little bit of controversy. DeMichael, what'd you think about this release?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man, where you got to make sure you got the right people in the room when you're taking care of stuff like this. Because I don't think the intent was wrong. You know, at the end of the day, you know, they're trying to remember MLK and honor MLK and things like that. But honoring him by a shoe with the colorway of the Lorraine Motel. And then, you know, there's the other factor of monetizing, you know, off of something like this as well. I think you could have kind of skated a little bit potentially if you come out and say all proceeds to this are going to the National Civil Rights Museum, you know, from this shoe or something like that. And you just got to do your homework on stuff like this. Like, you got to do your homework. Not only are we talking about the place where Martin Luther King was killed, we're also talking about, you know, a place where we got to remember why Martin Luther King even came to Memphis on that time in the first place. We were talking about, you know, him coming there to join a protest with sanitation workers who felt, you know, like they weren't being, you know, properly rewarded for their work and things like that. And it's just, it's one of those moments where, you know, the kids say it's going over your head. It's going over your head. So it kind of went over Nike's head.
Surprised to see Nike miss the mark like this. What do you say, Mike?
I'm surprised to see Nike not provide the context.
Yeah.
And I think what DeMichael just laid out would have solved everything. Proceeds from this, 10% of the proceeds from these special release shoes will go to the Civil Rights Museum. I have no problem with the campaign as long as it was explained in the right context. I have no problem with them using that colorway. Because again, like, you know, we celebrate the Lorraine Motel and the Civil Rights Museum anyway. So them having a colorway that looked like the motel, I don't think that's offensive. I think that's a sign or a cap tip. I just didn't think that it was executed properly. So people are going to, you know, target Nike because they're a big brand, and people who are anti-LeBron are going to find something to criticize LeBron about. That rung on deaf ears with me. But Nike going to this degree and not providing the context or the reason behind it, that's what kind of stuff.
I'm with you. Stephanie, I want to give you a chance to weigh in here. You with Michael and DeMichael?
I am. I agree. I thought, DeMichael, you laid out some really good points about proceeds because anyone who's ever been to that museum understands the significance of it, and you cannot leave there without it changing your life, essentially. Because the perspective that you gain as you walk through there, it really helps you understand what that moment in history was about. It is very profound and powerful. And I think that, Michael, you said it's okay, right, to use the colorway because it's a nod to not just the motel, but it's now a museum. But I think the context was missing. And I think Nike is a machine with their marketing. They always have been. So someone dropped the ball, because if they had that idea, even if it wasn't about the proceeds being donated back, but if they had the idea of why they wanted to use that colorway as a tribute to Dr. King, then it needed to be expressed. And they could have made a big campaign out of it. And then the bonus could have been proceeds going back towards the museum. I think that's brilliant. And they should probably hire you, DeMichael, to be in that room.
Well said. Well said by each of our panelists. When we come back, we'll take our weekly spin around the rest of the NBA, including a look at Michael's top 10 midseason NBA MVP candidates that we teased earlier. That and more when we return. Keep it locked. This is Grizz Beat on Grind City Media.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GBWR.
Jeff Dunham, artificial intelligence, his all-new tour.
Jeff Dunham. You're the other white meat. How can you be so smart on one hand and so stupid on the other? Well, you're half of it. I realize I could have avoided all this years ago with one simple word. I do not. Silence!
Don't miss a Memphis. Friday, April 10th, FedEx Forum. Tickets on sale Monday, September 29th at jeffdunham.com.
Nate Bargatze.
Look, I say a lot of dumb stuff. I try to keep it in front of large groups. Seems to go better that way.
Big Dumb Eyes World Tour.
When you say something dumb one-on-one, it's a lot for that person. I'll say it, then I can just feel that they feel the weight of my life on their shoulders.
Tickets and info at natebargatze.com. Don't miss the Big Dumb Eyes World Tour. Nate Bargatze.
How are you able to release and have an instrumental song become a huge deal?
And I forget who the disc jockey was, but he put the wrong side on. He put the Green Onions by mistake and played the B side instead of the A side.
No!
And that's when the change happened. These people started to call the station and say, play that song again.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Made by Grizz fans for Grizz fans, 191 Collabs, presented by Pinnacle, celebrates Memphis designers and showcases our city's unique voice and vibe through hyper-local Grizz gear. Next up, the From Memphis with Love collection by Peso Design Studios drops on Saturday, January 31st when the Grizzlies take on the Minnesota Timberwolves at 7 p.m. This soulful, vivid collection channels the city's rich culture with bold streetwear styles and is only available in FedEx form on game night, starting at 5:30 p.m. Buy your tickets today for access at Ticketmaster.com or visit 191collabs.com for more info. Welcome back to Grizz Beat. And now, halfway through the season for most teams, a look at Michael Wallace's midseason top 10 NBA MVP candidates. We'll see if the gurus got it right. Michael, I hand it over to you.
Yeah, these are my top 10 guys at the midway point of the season, 41 games in for most teams at least. And those are my 10 guys that I have leading the leaderboard for MVP, League Most Valuable Player discussions. All of these guys are deserving for one reason or another, having phenomenal seasons. Some of them may drop off because they won't qualify because of the minimum 65 games requirement, and they might not get there. But at the end of the day, man, I want to point out two guys in particular. That's number 8 and number 9. Kevin Durant, as amazing as he is at 37 years old, averaging 26 points per game, shooting almost 50, 40, 90% rates. At this stage of his career, we talk about LeBron's endurance and durability, but what KD is doing this season at his stage and at this age is remarkable. And then Devin Booker. I don't think anybody is having as big of an impact on a team that wasn't expected to do anything other than Devin Booker and my guy at number 2. So you guys can get at me, Jaylen Brown, fellow dark-skinned alum. That's my guy, my brother. Let's do it, man. Y'all can come at me all you want, but you better come good.
Well, I'm a light skin that loves me some Jaylen Brown. Don't get me wrong, I don't discriminate if you're a dog, and Jaylen Brown is that. That said, you got Cade Cunningham way too low at number 7. He has beaten Jaylen Brown, the Celtics, 3 out of the 4 times they faced him, including a 2-point win at home on Monday. And my gosh, he's got this Pistons team number 1 in the East. So for me, Cade Cunningham, I think had 14 and 16 in that game. No turnovers was the point in that Boston Celtics game. He's got to be higher, and I'd put him as high as number 2 ahead of Jaylen Brown. There you go.
Ooh, so you move him up to 2.
I moved him up. He's above him in the standings, and he's beat him 3 out of 4 times.
All right, but they're not playing one-on-one. And if they're playing one-on-one, you know who win?
Jaylen Brown would win, but that ain't what we asking.
Then.
We
Next up, who we got?
Oh, he shot me down.
Let me lay it.
No love for the light skins, Michael.
No love for the light skin. Hopefully, you give us a little love right here because look, I put it like this: Jokic is number one until proven otherwise. It's really that simple. I know the 65 game thing is the biggest question here, but is there any other question? The only question is if he plays 65 games. Yeah. So until he misses 18 games, 17 games. 17 games. Until he misses 17 games, he's number one for me. All the intentions right now are that he still plans to, get back here. Yeah. He's already doing basketball activity on the court. So look, I'm looking at it like he's number one until proven otherwise. The start that he was off to was as good as any other season in his career. He was really carrying that team. They really look like a threat this season. I think when you talk about value over replacement player, Vorp, he still leads the NBA in that category right now. You talk about offensive net rating. I think he's at 128. No one else is 125. Like there's a big gap between him and the rest of the league, and then everyone else kind of feels in it. Like he's so far ahead of the pack, he can sit out a few games. I don't care about that much. Now, the only question, if he plays 65 games exactly, MVP. He plays 64, then somebody else on there can get it. So he's number one until he's eliminated from the list to me.
And that's a big if. Everything you said, I totally agree with. Jokic is my second favorite player in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
And he's the most productive player offensively 100%. In the NBA. But having said that, the durability this season, whether he would get there, is the question. But at this point, when you look at the percentages, he's not projected to get to that 65 game, which is why he's 3 on mine.
Gotcha.
All right, Stephanie, you got the last crack.
Love the list in terms of people, Michael. I just don't agree with the order. And instead of nitpicking you to death, because I do agree with the two gentlemen that went prior, I'm just going to go straight for the bottom with Jalen Brunson. I don't know how he can be the last on your list, what he's doing with the Knicks. I always think for MVP, you have to factor in wins and losses. So I don't think that somebody like Devin Booker and Ant Edwards, like all those teams that are 5, 6, and 7 right now, that are not in the top 4, I don't consider their main player to be a candidate for MVP for the entire league. That's my personal philosophy. So Jalen needs to be way up on the list.
Okay.
Stephanie makes a great point, although when you look at the records, the Knicks aren't that much better record-wise. They're just at 2 because they're in a weaker conference from that standpoint, right? But when you look at what they're able to do against those teams that we're talking about, Phoenix is not too far back from there. Houston is not too far. Maybe we're talking, and the Knicks are struggling right now. They have zero defensive identity. Jalen Brunson is a liability on the defensive end in a lot of those times when he's on the floor. And they have some problems there. I love Jalen Brunson. I'm not disparaging him. He's an MVP candidate, which is why he's on the list. But I don't know who you move him above in terms of impact on what's going on right now. But having said that, you guys came strong. Y'all came strong, man.
Hey, Mike,
the mid-season game is strong right now.
Let me know when you open up your law firm, man. I might need to make a couple calls over there.
I understand. Jalen Brunson, Kay Cunningham, light skins. I sense some discrimination, Michael. I'm just gonna go ahead and point out. Now, let's do some fill in the blanks on 3 key topics. Pretty self-explanatory. I'll have the statement. You guys will fill it in the blank. Stephanie, we'll start it with you. The biggest all-star starter snub is...
This is such a hard blank for me to fill in. I struggled with this because I don't necessarily think that there was even a snub because we're only talking about starters. And I do value the fan voting component, right? Because I feel like this is the game for the fan. So they should have a say in who they want to see playing in the game. And that has a big impact on who the starters are. So I'm just going to say that before I tell you the name that I'm filling the blank in with, because I do not feel like there actually was a snub at this point. But I'm going to go with Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's having a great season. His numbers speak for themselves. And again, the winning is always part of my criteria.
Hey, a cat vote. How about that? DeMichael Cole, biggest snub.
This one was easy for me. I got to go Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, every year of his career to this point has gotten better and better and better, and the numbers show it. He's having the best season of his career. That's even after last season, we thought, man, this dude is really taking over that number 1 shooting guard spot, and he's doing it on both ends, and he's taking it to a whole nother level this season. The Timberwolves are surging right now. They're number 4, I think, in the West, and he is a huge part of that because of what he's doing, with his efficiency from the three-point line, but also being able to continue to put that pressure on the rim. He should have been a starter, and he's going to be one. You know, you talk about who the fans want to see. I bet you they want to see Anthony Edwards out there. I had a vote, for the All-Star game, and he was in my starting lineup on my ballot. So, yeah, I got to go with Anthony Edwards.
There you go. Yeah, averaging a career high in points. Michael Wallace.
Hey, that's why he's a newsbreaker. That's why he's here, man. You know what I'm saying? He got a legitimate ballot right there. But I'm going to go with Kevin Durant. And look, they got an elder statesman in there in Steph Curry, but I think they got the wrong elder statesman in there. I think Kevin Durant, when you break down his impact and what he's doing for Houston, that's the 50, 40, 90 he's flirting with. I think that's the guy that got the snub right there.
Stephanie, you're going to lead us off again on this next one. The way I would re-energize All-Star Weekend is...
I would go back to the Elam ending. Remember, they did that once before. But then I would also say that every bucket is worth the same amount of points. You can decide one or two, but I think anything beyond the arc, anything in the paint, even a free throw is all worth, let's just say, 1 point. And the reason why is because the main complaint that fans have about All-Star Game is the lack of competitiveness, right? So if you take out the value of the three-point shot, people will take less of that. They'll start driving to the basket more because free throws are worth just as much as that three-point shot. So now they want to get to the line, draw contact, because every bucket is worth the same. That's what I think will put a big shot in the game.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Guys, pushes back on guys just sitting outside, jacking threes from as deep as they can from that standpoint. Michael Wallace, I'm hoping you've thought through this a little bit. The way you would re-energize All-Star Weekend is?
I'll set the rosters at 10 per team, like 10 for one team, 10 for the other, 10 USA players, 10 from the world. So they got it right. They're getting to that, right, with having these three teams with 8 players from the world. But I think you can go 10 versus 10. And then you rotate All-Star Weekend across these NBA-ready arenas across the globe. Like, it doesn't always have to be in the United States, right?
Yeah.
It can be in London. It can be, especially if you got the days between, the days leading in and then the week coming out of it. So those would be 2 ways that I would think they can improve it. Set the rosters 10 USA versus the world, and then rotate the cities where you hold it at across the world.
DC, the way you would re-energize All-Star Weekend is?
Man, y'all got a lot of confidence in Sunday. Sunday's cooked to me. I mean, these dudes ain't coming out there competing on Sunday. My energy is on Saturday, and you got to put a one-on-one tournament back in this thing. Like that's what the kids love. You talking about getting eyeballs on it. You go to YouTube. This is a highlight-driven sport. NBA is. You do a one-on-one tournament. I think you're going to get Anthony Edwards out there. You're going to get Kevin Durant out there. You're going to get even some of the lower tier players. Like, when I think historically of the game, like a J.R. Smith, I feel like it's someone who would do real good in a one-on-one tournament, but you probably don't think of him as your typical all-star. Like, it could be a really fun thing. Like in the league right now, maybe like a Jordan Clarkson. Like, he could cook in a one-on-one tournament, I feel like. So you throw a one-on-one tournament out there, and then that's man versus man. That's me versus you.
Right.
Hey, we're playing for pride. So all that, I'm too cool for this, that ain't happening in a one-on-one tournament.
LeBron did that to the dunk contest and killed it. I think the young player would do this.
Who wants to see J.R. Smith versus Jordan Clarkson?
Look, no, you got to have the stars in there too. Now, Ant's gonna do it.
You're right.
Ant's gonna do it.
I think he's right about Ant.
KD would do it.
Yeah.
This new breed. KD's one of the old guys, but I think he would. This new breed of guy, the SGAs, the Ant Edwards, they will do this. I think. I don't think they're scared to lose in front of the public like it felt LeBron was in the dunk contest, which killed all that off.
Kobe would have done it. Like some older guys, there's a new era or mid era of guys that didn't want to do it. They were too cool for school. But that's a good idea. I do like that one-on-one.
Yeah, we got to do that one.
And finally, the NBA team that can become a contender with a trade is... Michael, we'll start with you.
We're starting with me. I would say, I think I had it on here. I got to go back and remember what I wrote, man. I said the Clippers. And that's because they're, 13-2 in the last 15? They can find a power forward and a center. I know they got Zubac, but they need a 4, right? Collins just hasn't lived up to the bill. They're trying to play Lopez and Zubac together.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, but they got the wings. And they have the rhythm and the continuity right now, man. That team is one trade away from being right back to where I thought they were going to be all season.
Yeah, it just won 6 in a row before this last game. Kawhi was out for that one. Stephanie, the team that can become a contender with a trade is?
I think the Houston Rockets. I think they need a point guard. We've known that from the beginning with the injury of Fred VanVleet. And I think they have the assets to make that happen. And I'm not just talking about players. I'm talking about picks. They have future first-round picks for 27. They've got some for 29 that they could package up quite nicely to get themselves something to get them over the hump.
DeMichael, you got the last call here.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Los Angeles Lakers. I think for them it's all about defense. Like they just don't have a lot of commitment right now on the defensive end. And the way their roster is constructed, like, LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka have to play. And neither of those guys are going to give you 4 quarters of good defensive energy. Like LeBron, he can channel it those last few minutes of a game. But Luka and Austin Reeves are 2 guys the teams will see, and they'll probably try to go at a little bit more. But you got to put some defenders around those guys to kind of complement the scoring in the offense that they had. Maybe go get a couple 3-and-D guys, and they've lost a couple in recent years. They had a Dorian Finney-Smith before. Right. They had Jordan Goodwin, who's having a kind of a good year, former Grizzly, having a good year, with the Suns. He's a big part of that rebrand over there. So, that's the thing for me with the Lakers. Like, they got the talent at the top. If they can go get some marginal fixes with the defense and get some guys that could shoot some 3-pointers off of those guys, they'll be right back in the hunt.
We heard what Rich Paul thinks they should do to involve the Memphis Grizzlies, but that's for another time, perhaps. We'll wrap up this week's edition of the show by taking a look at what's ahead for the Memphis Grizzlies in the week ahead, and then a call your shot. Tonight, obviously, we've talked about it. The Grizzlies have got the Atlanta Hawks. It's the first of a 3-game homestand, having traveled back from Europe. A couple nights later on Friday, it'll be the New Orleans Pelicans coming into town. So 2 really nice opportunities here to get wins before you invite the Nuggets into town for the start of a back-to-back, and then you're on the road on Monday against the Houston Rockets and the aforementioned Kevin Durant. And now that call your shot. One bold prediction from each of our panelists about this upcoming 4-game stretch. DeMichael, you start us off. Call your shot.
I'm going to say we get to see Ty Jerome make his debut for the Memphis Grizzlies. I know a lot of people have been waiting on it. It's well long overdue. I mean, a calf strain that lasts, 4 months. I mean, my goodness. But yeah, the point guard situation has not been pretty. In given the situation with Ja as well, kind of seeing Ty Jerome play and him, potentially, showing some signs of good play at the point guard position would be good for the Grizzlies. But yeah, I'm going to say Ty Jerome suits up for the Grizzlies.
No, I've been looking on the injury report. Is he out for yet? Is he questionable? I've been looking for that Ty Jerome name. Figure we're really close. Michael Wallace, call your shot.
Hey, I'm going to call the shot first, but first what is it about this seat right here with those bold predictions, man?
Yeah,
Anthony Sainz there, they hit. DeMichael was on something right there. And my bold prediction right here is this one, man. A roster move will be made before the next Grizz beat.
Now that's bold.
A roster move
before we get back in here next Wednesday.
Next Grizz beat.
We got to come back to that
bold prediction right there. And also, before we turn it over to Stephanie, man, it's National Mentoring Night here for the Memphis Grizzlies. Come out to tonight's game against the Atlanta Hawks and see all the great ways you can connect with the youth in our city and in our region. Mentor Memphis Night tonight. Grizzlies, Hawks, get over here to the arena and sign up.
There you go. Did that. Stephanie, you've got the final call, your shot.
Wow, I love that mentoring night. That's a great idea. I decided that I was going to go a little bit bigger picture, less X and O, if you will, because I haven't been great with these predictions. Every time I try to make something bold, it doesn't go my way. So I think that we're going to see at least one new celly from Ja Morant. I think he is still trying to figure out what he wants to do to celebrate when he has success on the court. I think we're going to see at least one, if not a couple, during this next stretch.
I like it. That means Ja be playing with some joy, and that is always a good thing. That's our show for this week. Thank you to our panelists, DeMichael Cole, Michael Wallace, and the great Stephanie Reddy. Thanks as well, as always, to CJ Hurt and our wonderful team here at Grind City Media. Make sure to stay tuned at 6 p.m. for the warm-up show here on Grind City Media. That'll be followed by the FanDuel Sports Network pregame show at 6:30. Tips at 7 on FanDuel Sports Network Southeast for our entire Grizz Beat team. I'm Jason.